Hi, I'm Gabriella Walton. I am in the Wellness and Self Care class online, and for my systematic survey, I did yoga and stress and how yoga can ultimately decrease stress. Um, Yoga is the practice of joining the mind and body together. This is achieved through the eight limb path to yoga, which is a way to cleanse the mind, body, and spirit. The eight limbed path to yoga is also called Ashtanga. The first limb is Yama, and this is moral discipline, and it focuses on how behavior and how we conduct on our behavior and how we conduct ourselves in life. Niyama is the second limb, which has to do with sorry, that's gonna happen. I'm not redoing this, so Niyama is the second limb, which has to do with moral observance and self-discipline. The third limb is asana. This is the postures practiced in yoga, in which the body is the temple of spirit, the care of which is an important stage of our spiritual growth. Pranayama is the fourth limb. It focuses on breath control and the techniques that are used in yoga. Pratyahara is the fifth limb to the eight-limbed path of yoga. This is the withdrawal of senses or removing distractions. Dharana is the sixth limb, and it means concentration. The seventh limb is dhyana, which is pretty much like the sixth limb, but dhyana is meditation. And then the last limb is samadhi, which is the state of bliss or ecstasy. And I really like this quote from my source. It said, "At this stage, the mediator merges with his or her point of focus and transcends the self altogether. The mediator comes to realize a profound connection to the divine and interconnectedness with all living things. With this realization comes the peace and that passeth all understanding, the experience of bliss and being at one with the universe." So, even though that's a traditional path for yoga, most people practice yoga for the many benefits that it has, including lowering blood pressure, which is beneficial to people with hypertension. Yoga can overall boost mood, and there's some evidence to suggest that it may lower blood glucose levels, which helps individuals with diabetes. And there's also evidence to suggest that yoga can overall decrease stress. So my whole entire research paper was on yoga and how it can decrease stress. The practice of yoga can be a good outlet for people who have high stress levels, and especially people in the United States have high stress levels as well. And then, so there are many scientific studies that yoga decreases stress. One study conducted at the Department of Psychology at Lund University in Lund, Sweden. Sorry, my dog's chewing on a wrapper. Recorded the effects of yoga on stress and psychological health, and people practice it for 8 weeks, and then, or like some people practice it for 8 weeks, and then some people practice it for 16 weeks continuously. And the group who practiced it for 16 weeks continuously showed extreme results of reduced stress, and then the people who practiced 8 weeks or didn't practice for the first 8 weeks were like tremendously stressed out, and then the people who practiced the last 8, the control group who didn't practice the first 8 weeks were stressed out, and then they practiced the last 8 weeks of the study, and they were relieved of that stress. And then another study was conducted by Laura White, and it was featured in the Journal of Healthcare, or of Pediatric Healthcare, and this suggests yoga can decrease stress. It was completed for a study with middle school aged girls. The girls were able to recognize the stress, take on measures to try to relieve it through yoga and meditation, and then by the end of the study, it was shown that the experimental group's stress significantly decreased, as well as the girls' self-esteem increased as well. And then lastly, there were 17 studies conducted around the world, and 12 of them showed a positive effect on the relationship between yoga and stress reduction. So basically, yoga decreases stress. In the popular literature articles, it was more of them listing out the benefits of yoga instead of doing like any scientific studies. So then, like, just listing out the techniques that are used in yoga to relieve stress and what helps and what doesn't, instead of having actual individuals in the study and doing a specific study for it. So the evidence that was found between those two, I feel like were both significant, but just differently phrased. So, like, overall, yoga can decrease stress, and that's the main part of it, really. So yeah, do yoga.